Here is some basic information about the P16 personal mixer that we use for our church, connected to our Behringer sound system, X32. So, a couple basics. First of all, you have on the back here, of course, the plug for a power adapter that you'll only need if you are not getting power over Ethernet from a distributor. So if you are daisy chaining a couple together, then you're going to need this. Then, of course, you have the power button, has to be on, of course. Our Ethernet port. That again, if you're sending this directly from a distributor, that's going to give you power, but it's not going to send power through the through jack. So that will go into another unit if you'd like. And then, at least as far as what the things we use, headphone jack that you're going to need, typically an adapter for your in-ear monitors, and then a output for a powered speaker like we use for our pianist who doesn't wear in-ear monitors with acoustic piano. Then on the front here, the first thing I always do whenever I first get to a unit is I want to make sure that the main volume is all the way up. So hit main, turn it up. Of course, if you accidentally bump the button, it mutes it, which is hardly ever useful, in my opinion. Then you want to also make sure the output level is all the way up. Okay, you're not going to get the headroom or potential volume that you want if your main is down or if your output level's down. Happens all the time. Somebody says, I can't hear anything, and I go, and their main is down because I accidentally turned it down or whatever. I also want to make sure that my limiter is all the way up. I think, in my opinion, this is a useless knob, but it's here nonetheless. Then you have your pan, which some people love using. I don't use it, but if you wanted, for example, let's say mic number 1, you wanted to be all the way in your left ear, and mic number 2, you wanted to be all the way in your right ear, you could do that. And then you have, of course, a mute button. It mutes. And then up here you got some options that I hardly ever use, but if you wanted to, you have a link button that allows you to link some channels together. So for example, if you wanted, if you had 2 mics connected to the piano, and you know, left and right or highs and lows, and you wanted to link them together so you just had one volume, then you could link it together. I don't like that, so I'm going to turn those off. There we go, turn them off. You also got a group. If you want to group multiple things together, you could do that, similar to link. And then you got a store and recall. If you wanted to save a particular mix, you would hold down on store. You see here that I already have used 5, so I'm going to use 6. It blinks red and green to let me know it's ready. I hit it again. Now 6 is stored with my mix. I hit recall, and there's my mix. Hit recall. It's loaded. I hardly ever use that. Then, of course, you got your EQ knobs that you can EQ the main, and you can EQ each individual channel. Every now and then I mess with that if I'm, for myself, for my own guitar, my own voice, but it's only going to affect what's in my ears. So I want that as typically as flat as possible, which somebody's messed with this here. So I'm going to go through and I'm just going to kind of cycle through and reset it, and then put it all just flat. You can do that to taste. All right, and then these individual channels. So I got my main all the way up, got my level, my output all the way up. This one's not labeled. That is normally pretty helpful. Stick a label there, write it in, or print it out, or whatever you want to do. Wouldn't recommend Sharpie. And some labels stick and are horrible to get off, like whoever put one on here. So we got channel 1. Let's say that's my microphone. I want to turn that up one of the loudest things because I want to be able to hear myself even when I back off the mic. Let's say channel 2 is a backup singer that I don't actually need to hear. Maybe I'll turn that all the way off, or maybe I'll just leave a little bit just in case we're in a dead spot in rehearsal and I want to be able to hear what they're saying. Let's say channel 3 is a backup singer, but they're going to lead the second song. So maybe I want to just make sure I hear them very clearly. And let's say 4 is the preacher mic, and I'm only going to listen to that preacher mic if the preacher steps up. Otherwise, their mic's going to be off. But I want to make sure they're loud as can be, because if they say something I want to hear. Let's say you got a band mix here, you go through, that's a guitar, that's another guitar, but I don't need to hear it, that's a bass, I really want to hear the bass, I want to hear the drums, whatever. You go through each individual thing and you mix. Typically, you want to hear yourself over everything else because you're only in control of what you sound like. And if you are playing out of tune or whatever, you want to make sure you hear that clearly before you affect everything else. For us, channel 15 is what we call an MC mic. The drummer has a microphone. MC stands for music captain, or you could just say MC like EMCEE. And they're communicating with the band in our ears. So I want to make sure they're turned up. But look at that. I selected 16. It doesn't do anything. Why is that? It's because I have this volume button pushed in. It's like a secret feature here that's somewhat pointless, I think. But I have to touch the button because it's been muted. Right now it's been muted or made inactive. So I'm going to push it. Now I get my volume control. And I want to make sure they're turned up pretty high. So there we go. Your individual channels, your mains, and you can mix it however you would like. Now, it takes some work to get just the right mix. And then the service starts and you throw a bunch of more bodies in the room. You throw a choir in the choir loft and the singers sing a little bit more. It's never a perfect mix, but you can get as close as you can. And then you may want to store it. The last thing is if you are plugged in to the headphone jack, if you're running wired, you got to remember that you're plugged in when you're done, because it happens quite often. Somebody walks away from the stage forgetting they're plugged in, and it yanks the P16 down and it falls on the floor, and etc. So there you go, just some basic run through with the P16 unit. Hope you enjoy.